Hi, I'm Margaret, and welcome to Garden School. Well, I am kind of anxious to get some pole beans planted in the vegetable garden. And when I read on my packet, it says to plant outdoors in late spring after weather has warmed and all danger of frost has passed. Well, today is the last average frost date in my area. We're getting toward the end of April. Now, of course, this is an average, so it's possible we still could have a frost, or perhaps that was a week ago or 10 days ago when we had our last frost. Anyway, that's an average. But what does that mean when the weather is warmed and, all danger of frost is past? It probably has, but has the weather warmed? And what about the soil? What about the temperature that seeds like to germinate in? Let's go and take a look at that. So I found a website, I think it was from Oregon State University, of germination temperatures for different vegetable seeds. And we're talking about vegetables here. So I've got like a minimum, the optimal germination temperature, and then a maximum temperature. Now, let's look down here. I don't think I'm in danger of exceeding these maximum temperatures for my soil. However, if you are in a place where you could get into those warmer temperatures sometime later in the summer, keep in mind that that's not going to be the optimal time, for instance, for planting spinach. We're going to look at the minimum temperatures first. Now, for instance, beans, a minimum temperature needs to be 60 degrees in the soil. Okay, optimal is at 80. For peas, they can be planted a lot earlier, 40 degrees soil temperature. They'll still germinate. Optimal is 75. Beets, carrots, radishes, all of the minimum temperature is about 40 degrees in the soil. And here, some warmer temperatures for optimal germination. Now, lettuce and spinach, they can germinate in a cooler soil. And also onions, leeks will also germinate in a colder soil temperature. But the optimal is warmer. But notice, not as warm as many of these other things up here. Now, pumpkin, cucumber, they're going to want 60 degrees, kind of like the beans. That is their minimum soil temp. They can start to germinate in a optimal warmer temperature as well. What I wanted you to notice here on this is that if you, for instance, if you wait until some of these, your soil temperature gets, for instance, let's look at the beans, 60 degrees. If I wait until my soil temperature is 60 degrees, what's that going to mean for my growing season? Now, especially when you're looking at the pumpkin and cucumber, those things that take a longer day to maturity, if you wait until your soil temperature is here, you might be pushing it into the very end of the summer. Now, and we want to push, things up further so we can get more from our garden. That's our tendency. Another thing I want you to look at is the optimal temperatures for germination are all on the warmer side, which means you could start these things earlier using a heat mat. And that's what a lot of people do for these things, to use a heat mat for germination and then time it so that when your transplant needs to go out into the garden, your soil temperature is appropriate. So, what is my soil temperature? I went out with a little thermometer and I just measured in the ground today, and it was just about 50 degrees, something like that. In my little freestanding greenhouse that's not heated, soil temperature was also about 50, maybe just a little bit above 50. But on the things that I had started on the seed mat, on the heat mat, that's a nice 70 degrees, maybe even a little warmer. So those things are doing really well as far as germination right now. I found a terrific website where I can see the soil temperature in my zip code. And I can look back historically to see what the actual temperature was, what the average temperature was for the 5-year average, and then also a 10-year average to see if there's some differences. Now, this is the whole year of 2023. So this is last year. And what I wanted to see, if I want to plant my beans and they need a 60-degree temperature, I'm going to have to look here along this 60-degree line to find out when my temperature became in the 60 degrees. My soil temperature became 60 degrees. And when I look at that, it looks like it's right here, that where it was consistently above, well, almost except for that one day right there, consistently above 60 degrees into the summer. I'm looking at the blue line here. So if I trace that down here, oh, that says it was May 13th last year. And notice that the green line, which is the 10-year average, and the purple line, which is the 5-year average, are also right about there. So that tells me that I'm going to have to wait till about May 13th or so to put my bean seeds in the ground for germination. I've got a little while to wait. Wow, that seems like it got a little bit confusing there. But the bottom line is this. Your soil temperature needs to be warm enough for your seeds to germinate. Otherwise, the seeds are going to struggle. They may not germinate. They may take a longer time to germinate. And then the little seedlings may not thrive when they start to grow. And then they're more susceptible for disease and other issues that can take advantage of that situation. So, good soil temperature. And then timing is also important too. Now, if you wanted to just go ahead and seed things, you might need to be prepared to seed again once the temperature gets a little bit warmer. So going back to this data, let's take a look again at the beans. Minimum soil temperature for germination is 60. I would have to wait until at least May 13th in my area in order to plant them into the garden. But if I plant them on the heat mat, they will germinate within 1 to 2 weeks at the warmer temperatures, a little over 70 degrees. And then I can let them, after germination, I can let them develop a little bit more before planting them out into the garden. And by that time, the soil temperature will be 60 degrees. It's going to be after May 13th, that average date where we would get to 60 degrees outdoors. But I want to have my seedlings have a little bit more growth, get their true leaves, and be a little more prepared to be outdoors. So I could go ahead and do that now and get a little advantage, a little heads up, a step forward on the season. Well, my soil temperatures in my greenhouse are a little higher than I thought they were based on my measurement early this morning. So that's good. Those are a little bit warmer. Well, I think what I'm going to do is soak my bean seeds today, and then tomorrow I can start them in little containers and put them on the heat mat so that they will be at a great temperature for germination, a little bit above 70 degrees, and then I can get a little head start on the planting of the beans. Well, something to think about as you're looking to planting your seeds, whether you should wait and plant them out in the garden, whether you should start them earlier on a heat mat. Just keep in mind your soil temperatures and take a look at that soil temperature chart for the records for your zip code. It would be a great website to look at. Well, there's always more to learn in the garden. Bye-bye.